Good morning, dears. In botany, we are discussing about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, and we have already studied about the fertilization and double fertilization, and what are the events occur during double fertilization, and also the embryo formation after the fertilization. We are familiarized with the different types of embryo and what are the structures that consist of an embryo, isn't it? So today we are going to discuss about a seed, that how a seed is formed, and also what are the structure of a seed. Okay. So seed is formed as a result of reproduction, or seed is the final product of reproduction. Seed is the final product of reproduction and it is formed inside the fruit. And seed is often described as a fertilized ovule. Why it is say so? Because the ovule is matured into a seed and ovary into a fruit. That is why it is called as a fertilized ovule. And the structures of a seed consist of a seed coat, cotyledon and embryonal axis or embryo axis. There are three structures within a seed, that is seed coat which covers the seed, and cotyledons and embryo axis. Seed coat is found outside the seed and cotyledons are the structure which is inside the seed, which contain reserve food material in it. So it is generally thick and swollen due to the presence of reserve food material in it, like the leguminous seeds. So according to the presence of endosperm in a seed, the seeds are classified into albuminous seeds and non-albuminous seeds. According to the presence of endosperm, seeds are classified into two, that is albuminous and non-albuminous seeds. What is an endosperm? Endosperm is the structure that is formed within the seed, which is consumed by the developing embryo, or the endosperm will nourishes the developing embryo. So according to the presence of or the persistence of this endosperm, the seeds are classified into albuminous seeds and non-albuminous seeds. In albuminous seeds, the endosperm is persistent within the seed, that is, it is not consumed by the embryo completely. A part of the endosperm is already present in the seed. That type of seeds are called as albuminous seeds. And the example for albuminous seed containing plants are rice, wheat, maize, castor, then sunflower, etc. These plants contain residual endosperm. And in the non-albuminous seeds, it will not contain the residual endosperm. The endosperm is not persistent in the case of non-albuminous plants, and it is completely utilized by the developing embryo. That kind of seeds are called as non-albuminous seeds, and the example are pea, groundnut. These are the example for non-albuminous seeds. And there are some other plants. In that case, persistent nucellus is present. As we know that the ovule of the flower will contain nucellus. So that nucellus is persistent in some cases. That is, the residual nucellus is seen. That is called as perisperm. Perisperm is present, that is the persistent residual nucellus is found in some seeds, that is called as perisperm. As we know that there are integuments which protects the ovule, isn't it? So these integuments will harden and it will form to the seed coat. Okay, and also the micropyle will become a small pore on the seed coat. Through this the oxygen is transported, that is during the germination oxygen is necessary. For this case the micropyle perform the small opening on the seed coat and it will transfer or it will passes oxygen for the seed germination. And as the seed matures, the relative water content of the seed will become reduced. So it will causes the reduced metabolic activity of the embryo. So the embryo leads to a inactive condition called a dormant stage or dormancy. So dormancy is the inactive stage of a seed in which it lacks the relative quantity of water and it will slows down the metabolic process within the embryo. That will leads to an inactive stage called dormancy. And during the unfavorable conditions like adequate moisture, then oxygen and temperature will arises, the seed will become it will loses the dormancy and it will get germinated. Okay, so that is the dormancy period of a seed in which when the seed mature it will lose the water content and the metabolic activity of the embryo will get reduced, so that it will leads to an inactive stage called dormancy, and during the favorable conditions occur, it will get germinated. And as I told you earlier that the ovules will develop into a seed and ovary into fruit. All these two processes will occur simultaneously. And the wall of the ovary will leads to a fruit wall, that is called as pericarp. Pericarp is the fruit wall. And the fruit either may be fleshy or it may be dry. For fleshy fruit examples are guava, mango, apple, etc. And for dry fruits example like groundnut, then mustard, etc. Here in this picture you can see different types of seeds and their anatomy. These are the structure of a seed and how it get germinated. And in most plants, the floral parts will degenerate during the formation of a fruit. As we know that fruit is developing from the ovary, all the other floral parts will get degenerated and the ovary will mature to become fruits. And in some exceptional cases, the thalamus also contribute to the formation of a fruit. In the case of apple, strawberry and cashew, the thalamus of the flower contribute to the fruit. So that kind of fruit is called as false fruit. False fruit. Which are the false fruits? Apple, then strawberry, cashew nuts are the example for false fruit. The thalamus contributed to the fruit is called as false fruit. And in normal cases, the ovary become the fruit. So that kind of normal fruit formation is called as true fruits. True fruits. This is the normal case, that is ovary getting developed into a fruit. And this is an exceptional case. And in some exceptional cases, the fruit is formed without fertilization. As we know that the seeds and the fruit are the results of a fertilization, isn't it? So in some cases, the fruit is produced without undergoing fertilization. That kind of fruits are called as parthenocarpic fruits. Parthenocarpic fruits. The example for a parthenocarpic fruit is banana, and through this this process is called as parthenocarpy. So the parthenocarpy results in the formation of a seedless fruit. Seeds in a angiosperm plant will be having greater importance in it, because the seed dispersal will provide the plants to colonize different types of habitats, so that each plant will have the different habitat, and also it will have the reserve food material in it. So for the developing seedling, they could not need to perform the photosynthesis. They can use the reserve food material which is stored in the seed itself. So that are most important aspect of a seed. And also for the agricultural purpose also, it is very much important for the raising of next generation. And the seed dormancy and seed dehydration, it is of great importance, because during the seed dormancy it is get preserved, and for the favorable condition it can be grown into desirable products. So for the agricultural purpose and all, the seeds are the most important things to be get from plants. And the viability of different seeds will be different. Some seeds will be live for many years, and some of them will be viable only for few months only. For example, the oldest seed of the plant lupin, that is Lupinus articus. Lupinus articus, which is excavated from the Arctic tundra. It is germinated and flowered after completing 10,000 years of dormancy. So that so far years it is completed its dormant period. And there is a recent record of 2,000 years of dormancy in date palm, Phoenix dactylifera, which is excavated from the archaeological survey. So that's all about the seed and seed germination and seed dormancy. And next we are moving on to the two major processes in seed formation, that is polyembryony and apomixis. In some flowers or in some plants of family Asteraceae and grasses, the seeds are produced without undergoing fertilization. And that kind of process is called as apomixis. The seeds are produced without fertilization. The members of Asteraceae family and grasses shown this kind of phenomenon. So apomixis is a asexual form of reproduction which mimics the sexual reproduction. There are different ways to form an apomictic seed. The first one is the diploid egg cell without undergoing the reduction division. It will formed into an embryo and finally into a seed. That is the first way of formation of an apomictic seed. And more often in some cases like citrus and mango, the nucellar cells will start dividing and it will protrude into the embryo sac and it will form to an embryo. In these cases, the ovule will contain more number of embryo, and the presence of this more number of embryo is called as polyembryony. The term itself has the meaning that polyembryony, that is many embryo is present within the ovule. That is polyembryony. And as we know that the hybrid varieties of seeds are cultivated in fruits and vegetables to obtain the higher productivity. The seeds in these conditions are obtained from hybrid variety of plants. When it is sown, the progeny of the hybrid seeds will not follow the characteristics of the hybrid variety, and also this hybrid seeds cost much higher than the normal seeds. So it is more expensive for the farmers to cultivate this hybrid seeds. So if these hybrids are made into apomictic embryos, there is no segregation of progeny will occur. There is no segregation of characters occur. So the farmers does not need to buy the hybrid seeds in every year. We can use the apomictic technique for this case. And in this benefit itself, many researchers are going on to find out the importance of the apomictic seeds, and how we can cultivate, how we can elaborate the techniques of production of the apomictic seeds, and what are the major advantages of these seeds are going on. So these processes will become more and more important during these periods. Okay. So this is all about the seed and different types of seeds, that is albuminous and non-albuminous seeds, what is perisperm, what is dormancy, and how the seed is important for a flower, and what are the importance of seed in agriculture, and what is apomixis and polyembryony. These are the things that we are discussed today. So shall we wind up today? This is all about the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay, so the next chapter we will discuss in our next class. Thank you.